Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nips every day to get some of that dirty money so I can afford to provide you folks free, hands-on, or free to the end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. So Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We just did a class on Wednesday on the OpenAI's API. On November 5th, we're going to be doing a class using AI and SQL databases. On the 19th, I do believe it is, we're going to do a class basically on how to use AI for web scraping. And so if you're interested in those types of things, take a look at silicondojo.com. But anyways, that's not why you're here. You're here to see me show off my brain nips. And I've got an exciting story today. I've got a story that, just makes me so happy inside. You know how these stories are. What is it? What's going on? That's right. We have got more layoffs. 1,800 more motherfuckers are being shown the good goddamn door, because by God, that is how good our economy is. Our economy under Trump is well, I don't know if it's running on all cylinders. But there definitely is flames and explosions. Anyways, I talk about these layoffs because they're important, because we're currently going through an economic kerfuffle, as I say. When I do one-on-one conversations with people, the big thing that I get from folks is, how do I get a job? And the big thing that I want you folks to understand is it really has to do with macroeconomic forces, right? The previous 10 years, people were getting hired to just be an ass in a seat. Literally. I talked with executives and CEOs and the whole nine yards, and so many people, they were getting paid to be asses in seats. And now the economic world has changed, and so now they are dumping people in mass. And so it's important to understand this. It's important to understand where your position is in the current economic cycle, so you can try to figure out how you are going to feed yourself, because as a technology professional, it is going to get hard. I was literally in Raleigh last week. Christ, it's been a busy month. Anyways, I was in Raleigh last week, and I was curious because I was talking to a guy. Who doesn't like his current job. He has been looking for other jobs. And here's the thing. Good news. There are actually quite a few other jobs out there he can get. Bad news, they all pay 50% of what he currently earns. And that's just kind of where we're at. We did the OpenAI class, so in Durham, North Carolina, right? And so I had a guy come from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, for me, from Asheville, Chattanooga is not too far. It's like 3.5, 4 hours. It's a distance, but it's not horrible. So I wasn't really thinking about it a lot. And, the distance. And he was talking about, like, he's trying to find a new job. Like, he had been working in Chattanooga for like 20 years. Job goes away, as it does. That must be painful. At least the nice part with my career is my career explodes on a rather regular basis. I am skilled in picking up the disaster of my life. There are skill sets to everything, and one skill set is picking up when your life explodes. Anyways, apparently he's had the same job for quite a long time. It went bye-bye. It went boom. So he's now trying to figure out what to do. And literally, he had come all the way to Research Triangle, because I've been talking so lovely about Research Triangle, because he's trying to figure out his next stage in his career. It was 6.5 hours. It was 6.5 hours one way from Chattanooga to Durham. And he is now out exploring the world to see where in the world he can actually find a job. And so it's just the reality. I don't know what to tell folks. This is just the reality, and it's gonna get worse. As I talk about Trump, right? People say I have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and my answer is, don't you? Don't you? Like, it's no longer an insult. I honestly feel like at this point in time, if you don't have TDS, that says more about you than it does about me, right? Because again, the math problems are continuing with Trump's complete and utter insanity, right? We have the 100% tariffs that we're looking down the barrel of against Chinese imports coming online possibly on November 1st. Again, so many of the products that we need as technology professionals, like it or hate it, right now at least, they come from China. You drive up the cost of this stuff massively, it is going to be a big issue. We have the rare earths thing, so China is now talking about restricting rare earths. They have a new licensing regime. There's this whole thing now. Oh, Netherlands fucking seized this company called Nexperia that produces low power like chips for car companies. And so now China, so they seized the Chinese company Nexperia, but they didn't seize the company, they seized the headquarters. So like the factories are in China and the headquarters is in Europe. And so now the Chinese factories are refusing to ship any products to the rest of the world. So we have a lot of other car companies out there that are now saying that they may have to shut down manufacturing because they cannot get these processors, cannot get these chips. There's this new thing. Oh my God, like one of the things I've talked about for years. I've talked about for years how this is insane. So many of the drug precursors that we need in order to create drugs in the United States actually come from China. So we create a lot of drugs, or other places create a lot of drugs, but the precursors, the ingredients, basically, the ingredients for these drugs comes from China. Yeah, China is getting so pissed off right now. They're talking about restricting precursors. Like this is, fuck me. This is 2025. So I just want you to think about like all of this. And again, we have like the soybean farmers here in the United States. So China's refusing to buy any soybeans from the United States. Soybeans is like a $30 billion industry, at least for the US. So think about all those farmers, the people who rely on the farmers, everything else. Think about all of this stuff currently going on. And then, yeah, what kind of economy is this? What kind of economy is this? If you look at the S&P 500, it's a booming economy. I don't know, I've got some issues there. So anyways, one of the reasons I talk about these layoffs is I just want you to understand the world that we're actually in. I mean, you've got to make the bets. And one of the worst things I see out there is so many people lie to you. So many people lie to you and bullshit. Because I was there. I've been lied to. I've been bullshitted. And there's nothing that sucks more than spending your last, right? Using your last resources on a bet. But all the information that you've been given is a fucking lie. So you're betting on a fucking lie. You're already screwed. Like you're screwed, but you're like, I can get out of this if I can just find a way. And then people fucking lie to you because they want to be nice and they don't want to hurt your fucking feelings and the rest of that horse shit. And then you make a bet based off of the lie and everything goes to hell, right? Your feelings are important. Your feelings are important. Starving. Well, what is anybody supposed to do? Anyways, that's why I talk about this. So Target cuts 1,800 corporate jobs in its first major layoffs in a decade. So it's been over 10 years since they've done major layoffs. And surprise, surprise, in 2025, they're doing major layoffs. And the important thing to look at this too is that they're the corporate jobs. So one thing to consider, especially as a technology professional, is think about who you support, right? You actually have a job. You're supposed to have a purpose. We used to have a purpose. I don't know what the fuck you people have been doing for a decade. But anyways, back in the day, we had a job. We had a purpose, right? You support a certain segment in the company. And this is an important thing to understand. So sometimes as an IT professional, you may look at your company, and your company will be huge, right? 100,000 employees. But here's the thing, as a tech professional, you don't support 100,000 employees. Your IT department doesn't really support 100,000 employees. Your IT department may support 5,000 employees or 10,000 employees, right? You've got the corporate workforce, HR, legal, executive, sales, marketing, those people. And then you've got all the other schmucks. Kind of like the whole Europe-China thing. You got the other schmucks that actually do the work that get everybody paid, right? You've got the factory workers and the warehouse workers, and you got the truck drivers, and you got the logistics people, and you got the blue-collar people. Right, here's the thing though, like those blue-collar people basically pad out the numbers of employment. But it's important to understand, you don't really support them, right? Your department or IT may go out and you might put in a wireless access point for a warehouse, right? Or a few, right? You may have, but again, that's 10 fucking wireless access points. You don't need a lot of maintenance on those things, right? You may have Zebra, I don't know what they use nowadays. Back in the day, we had these Zebra things. They may have some Zebra scanners. Again, for an entire warehouse or whatever, you might have like 30 of those, but they don't get viruses. They don't really need, right? Every once in a while, some poor schmuck has to go down, make sure the Zebras are working properly, and that's about it. And so it's important to understand when we start looking at layoffs, how do the layoffs affect you, right? Because you could be at a company that has 20,000 people are let go. It doesn't matter, right? Because they're warehouse fucks. Oh, boo-hoo. Warehouse workers are getting replaced by robots. Guess who's gonna be getting overtime, right? Because here's the thing. Robots require my services more than blue-collar workers. So they lay off 20,000 people. They replace 20,000 people with robots. My life is probably going to get better. On the other hand, right, as I say, if they lay off corporate, but they keep the blue collar, that's where you might be screwed. And so that's where it's important. Like you see a company like Target, and you see like, okay, 1,800 corporate employees being laid off, but hey, look at how many employees they actually have. But the important thing to understand is the corporate employees that you are going to be servicing, right? They are who you actually support. And apparently, it's about 8% of Target's corporate workforce. 8% of Target's corporate workforce is going away, which can be significant. So Target said on Thursday it's cutting 1,800 jobs as the retailer tries to get back to growth after 4 years of roughly stagnant sales. And that's one of the things with this too, is this isn't all Trump. This isn't all Trump. Trump is trying to put the fire out with gasoline. Hey, have you heard? I heard that if you make the fire even bigger, it'll put itself out. It's like, well, yeah, if you've got engineers and scientists and know what the hell they're doing, maybe that'll work. But no, please don't put the gasoline on the fire. Like one of the big issues we've had, or the economy, I've talked about this for a while, right? This whole economic kerfuffle really started back with the Great Recession, right? 2008, when Bear Stearns fell, we never really got out of that. We have been continuing along with idiotic government policy for a long time, and that's why we have something called the everything bubble. We don't have the dot-com bubble or even the AI bubble. We have literally what's called the fucking everything bubble, because the government has been screwing things up. Again, under the Democrats, under the Republicans, they're doing everything in the world other than actually solving our damn problems, which might be a shock. And so one of the big things to understand here is that for a lot of these companies, right, they've actually been stagnant for a while, right? There's this idea, there's this optics of growth and success, when in reality, a lot of them have just been kind of petering along. And that's one of the things with Target, right? They just can kind of plateaued for at least 4 years now. It marks the first major round in layoffs in a decade for the Minneapolis-based retailer. It announced the layoffs in a memo sent by Target's incoming CEO, Michael Fiddelk, to employees at its headquarters. That's another big thing, right? So they're now bringing in a new CEO. When the new CEO comes in, guess what happens? A lot of other motherfuckers get shown the door, right? This is one of the things you have to understand about corporate change, right? They always try to make, when the new CEO comes in, the most painful time period. They don't want the new CEO to come in and then a year later do layoffs, right? Because that starts scaring people. Again, it's one of those optics things for everybody involved. So new CEO comes in, you lay off a crap ton of people because that is the best optically to do it. This is one of the things to be thinking about with your company. If you're in a company and you hear that they're going to be shifting CEOs, start fixing toilets or the digital equivalent of toilets. The eliminated roles are a combination of about 1,000 employee layoffs and about 800 positions that will no longer be filled. This is the other issue that we're currently having with our whole the employment issue, right? We hear unemployment rate is still near historic lows. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes to make that a crap number. Again, there's workforce participation rate, which is garbage, and a whole lot of other things. But even if you take the number as it is, we believe our government in this one instance. One of the big issues that's happened now is basically employees are scared to leave their jobs. Hey, remember when employees had all the power? We are in the time period where the employees have all the power. Yeah, no, not so much anymore, right? So anyways, employees are scared shitless to leave their companies to try to find another job because, again, like the person that I know, the only other jobs out there might be paying half what they're currently paid. Again, that's the thing to think about. You can make $200,000 a year. You can go to another job where you're making $100,000 a year, and as far as unemployment rates are concerned, it's equal, right? So anyways, a lot of people are scared to leave their jobs. So they're not leaving their jobs. Companies are scared about basically expanding because they don't know what the hell's going on in this current economic market. And so one of the things that's happening too is that whole job placement has seized up. Essentially, even though we have quote unquote low unemployment, the whole employment cycle has seized at this point. And that's where you see the whole thing, like not just the layoffs, that is its deal, but also that 800 new positions will not actually be filled. That's kind of like one of the things that can really kind of screw you. A company spokesman said together they represent an approximately 8% cut to Target's corporate workforce, according to the memo. Target has been fighting a sales slump as it tries to rebound from declining store traffic, inventory troubles, and customer backlash. The company has said it expects annual sales to decline this year. So sales are going to continue going down at Target. Its shares have fallen 65% since their all-time highs in late 2021. Again, the other thing to be concerned about here with so many of these companies, right? The real value in the company is not in profit. It's not in profit. It's in stock value. So their stock value is down by 65%. So they've got to figure out how to boost their stock value, which probably means a few more people are going to go. In a memo sent Thursday to employees at Target's headquarters, official said the employee cuts will help Target make urgent changes. And think about this. Quote, the truth is the complexity we've created over time has been holding us back. Right? I talk about this with all these CEOs being fucking lemons. We have this idea that CEOs are visionaries and they're avant-garde and they're on the cutting edge of the future. Fuck off. They're very wealthy lemons, right? And so what do we hear about from Mark Zuckerberg like a year or so ago, right? The year of efficiency. What do we hear from Microsoft? More efficiency. What do we hear from all these corporations? More efficiency, right? A few years ago, it was all about putting asses in seats. We need more people to be able to support the new economic environment, right? And so they're hiring. Now, wait a minute. No shit, you hired too many people. Now we have too much complexity, and so we need to fire folks. He said in the memo, quote, too many layers and overlapping work have slowed decisions, making it harder to bring ideas to life. He said the cuts are difficult, but, quote, a necessary step in building the future of Target and enabling the progress and growth we all want to see. You are sacrificing your mortgage so that Target can take the mountaintop. Yeah, I wonder why Gen Z and the alphas are ever less enamored with the modern corporate world. Wait a minute. So you're gonna get like a $50 million bonus, and I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. And this is the price that needs to be paid for the corporation. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of fucked up. But it is true. It is true. So it'll be curious to see where all this continues. We are nowhere near the end of the beginning. All of this stuff is literally just beginning. Do you remember? We are not through the first year of Trump. We're like 7 months, 8 months. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, we're 9 months. We're 9 months into 4 years. Oh, and it's only going to get stupider. It is only going to get stupider. And so the big thing for you to be thinking about is just battening down the hatches. Make sure, don't spend outside of your means. I mean, think about that. I mean, that's an important thing to be thinking about, especially like with your career. Remember, you have your job. Your job is screwed. One way or another, your job is going to go the fuck away. I don't know if it's going to go away tomorrow or it's going to go away in a couple of years, but your job is going to go away, right? Stacks come and go. Improvements to efficiency, right? Those things continuously improve. Corporations do massive layoffs, just willy-nilly, right? So your job, just to be clear, your job is going to go away. But the thing is, your career, right? Your career is all the jobs you have, in your 40 years or 50 years of working life or whatever. And so one of the things to consider is the better you're positioned in your personal life, the better you're going to be positioned in your professional life. So imagine with this person I've been talking about, right? Makes a certain amount of money. All the jobs that are out there that are being offered are 50% of what he currently gets paid. So let's say he gets laid off. Let's say he gets laid off tomorrow and he has to go get another job. Well, here's the thing. If his mortgage is up here and he has a new car and he has all of this new stuff, he literally financially may not be able to take a 50% cut currently, right? So 50% cut currently right now, he literally cannot pay the bills. So he cannot accept the jobs that are available. The issue then becomes, right, as time goes by, this economy is going to get worse. This economy is going to get a lot worse, right? So those jobs that are currently paying 50% of what he currently makes, they are going to start going away. Right? So by the time he loses his house, by the time he loses his car, by the time he no longer has to worry about those payments because he no longer has the asset he was making the payment on, and he's like, okay, well, things are so bad, I can now take that job that would pay me 50% of what I was making. And it's like, oh, yeah, that job has been filled. All of those jobs have been filled. Right? And so one of the things to consider, right? And so the people that take those jobs, they have those jobs. As the economy gets better, they continue to get their experience and everything else. As the economy does get better, in a number of years, they will be ready for the next hop. Right? If he isn't able to take that job at the 50% cut, he waits until things get so bad that he has no assets, so he can take the job, but those jobs are now gone. He is now in long-term unemployment. And I can tell you, right, if you're sitting there and if you're looking at 100 resumes, back in the day, I had to look at 100 resumes. I literally talk to CEOs right now, they're looking at thousands of resumes, right? If you're looking at just a crap ton of resumes, and you have one person who is currently working and they currently have a good skill set, and you have another person that hasn't worked in a year, even though the skill sets and the certifications are the same, who do you think I'm going to hire? I'm going to hire this person. What's wrong with this one? What's wrong with this one? There might not be anything wrong with this one. I've got 1,000 resumes. Thunk. Right? And this is what happens with careers. And so one of the things to be thinking about is in your personal life, how at this point can you bring back your expenses, right? How at this point can you bring your expenses down to the point that you can survive off of a 50% salary cut? Because if you can do that, good case scenario, you keep your job, you put your money into savings or whatever, you save up money so you can buy a better house or whatever when the economy turns around, and you're doing good. If you do lose your job and you bring yourself under what you're spending, then you can take that job for less money and keep your career going. And I think that's going to be the big thing for you to be thinking about is how do you keep your career? Stop thinking about the job, right? The job is a job. And start thinking about how do you keep your career going. This time period, this 3-year time period is simply this 3-year time period. It will come, it will go. COVID came, COVID left. Great Recession came, I don't know, sort of left. It's a bit like malaria. The Great Recession came, and then we get little bouts of it every once in a while, right? The dot-com bust came, and it also left, right? These economic shocks that come and go, if you can position yourself well to continue your advancement, then you'll be in a good position, going into the future. So that's what I would say with all these layoffs. Because again, it's real. I know I laugh and I'm snarky about it, simply because this whole jobs thing, the whole fucking job question just drives me up the goddamn wall. But that's the thing. Like this is the reality we're in, and you need to deal with this particular reality, and it's going to get worse. When I talk about this with Trump, you've got to understand this is about math, right? This isn't, when I talk about Trump, right, this is not political policy, right? Political policy is globalization versus isolation, right? That's political policy, right? Should we have expansive trade routes around the world, or should we just focus on us, right? It's that type of thing, right? Right. The issue that's currently going on is these are specific things that are being put into effect, right? 100% tariff on China is a specific action, right? China restricting rare earth minerals is a specific action. Netherlands seizing a Chinese corporation is a specific action, right? There's a difference between saying we should work to disengage China and make sure that we have stable supply chains that can continue without China, right? That is a policy decision. What actually is occurring is these specific actions, and they are a fucking disaster. They're a fucking shit show. Like the example is with the cattle farmers right now. So so Trump is really sad that the cattle farmers aren't thanking him more, right? So Trump had a hissy fit because Bolsonaro, the person who was president of Brazil, was being tried by the Brazilian courts for his insurrection, for his little insurrection. Anyways, right? Trump disliked that his buddy was going to court for the crimes that he committed. Trump doesn't like that. So anyways, he put a 50% tariff onto Brazil. We did import a lot of Brazilian beef. Brazilian beef is cheaper than American beef, the whole trade thing. And so that has pushed beef prices up to all-time highs. So that should be a good thing, right? In a normal economic world, this should be a good thing. The problem is that the 50% tariffs aren't based off of like a solid trade strategy. They're based off of the psychotic musings of Trump because he's mad that his friend has had to go to court. So the issue is nobody knows if those 50% tariffs are going to stay, if they're going to go up, if they're going to go down, the whole 9 yards. And so the issue is with the cattle folks right now, or the issue was like 2 weeks ago, so it gets worse. The issue is even though beef prices are high, so since beef prices are high, that shows, again, a whole supply demand. If beef prices go up, what should happen is they should try to increase supply so they can capture a larger amount of that increased value. The issue is, again, this was 2 weeks ago, they're not really sure what's going on with tariff policy, so although beef prices are high, they don't want to put to grow more cows, right? Actually put more beef into production because that's an investment, right? They have to buy the baby cows, they have to feed the baby cows, they have to pay ranch hands, they have to pay all of these people based off of the risk, based off of the bet that they are going to get more money once that cow comes of age. And so one of the big issues they were having a couple of weeks ago is like, we don't know what's happening with this tariff policy. Although prices are high now, we don't want to overinvest and then have the value of beef go down to zero, and then we're screwed like those dumbass soybean farmers, right? Those soybean farmers, if they were smart, they would have been growing cows, right? That's how we all are. That's how we all are. They were the dumb ones, we're the smart ones. Well, the interesting thing right now, right, is now we have Trump's other buddy down in Argentina, who's totally ass-fucked their economy, just taking that economy out behind 7-Eleven and done some non-consensual things to that poor economy, right? And so that's a disaster, right? They have their election coming up. Trump wants to boost his buddy over there so that they can win for politics. And so one of the things that's now come up is that the U.S. is going to start importing Argentinian beef, right, to support his buddy down in Argentina. But think about this. Beef prices are high because of the tariffs on Brazil. So, the beef people are already concerned what's going to go on tariffs. Now they start importing Argentinian beef. That is going to drive the value of beef down, which again, then there's that whole question for these farmers. What do they actually invest in this psychotic world? And if you look at those people, that's basically what's going on with the wider American and global economy, is we have somebody at the wheel who is batshit fucking crazy, and And as I've said, the Republican, this isn't where I say I'm not really angry at Trump, I'm angry at the Republicans. No, fuck Trump. Fuck Trump all to hell. But what I don't understand is why the Republicans aren't doing anything, right? The Republicans own Congress. They own the Senate. They own the House of Representatives. And they are just sitting back like good little fucking castrated poodles wanting everybody to know what big alpha dogs they are rather than doing their fucking jobs. And so that's what we're going into with this whole economic disaster, this economic just cluster, right? And so again, it's just where you have to be thinking, do you buy a new car? Don't buy a new car, right? There's this whole thing, right? Well, tariffs and everything, maybe I should push up when I buy a new car. No, maybe you should push that motherfucker back. Maybe you should wait another 5 years before you replace a car. Maybe you should learn how to change your oil. That might be a better thing than buying a new car right now. Again, should you buy a new house? Should you upgrade your house, right? Do that kind of thing. Like you were sitting there, you got $20,000 in the bank. What are you gonna do with that $20,000? I've got an idea. Save it. Save it. Just let it. No, Eli, but this is an extra $20,000. Yeah. There might be a point in the next year or so where you don't have questions about how you could use that $20,000. So that's where I'd say with a lot of folks, just to really thinking about, is the place where you're in where you want to be during an economic disaster. Again, we talk about things like friends, we talk about things like family, we talk about things like community, we talk about things like the economy of an area, what the industries in the area are, what the resources in the area are, that type of thing. There's a real question that you should be asking yourself right now is where you are where you want to be for the cluster that is coming down the pike. So anyways, there's some thoughts. And there are some thoughts to bring a smile to your face. Yay! Shit show! Yay! Anyways, so what do you think about this? What do you think about Target doing 1,800 layoffs? 8% of its corporate workforce, first major layoff in 10 years, and a decade under the Trump administration. What do you think about this current economy? Are you doing good in this economy? Do you think you're going to keep doing good in this economy? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and do it down there in that comment section. Do remember what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. Free to the end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do. We just did a class on the OpenAI API using Python. We're going to do a class on November 5th for AI and SQL, structured query language with databases. On the 19th, we're going to be doing a class on web scraping with artificial intelligence, and we're going to be doing more and more. If you're interested, go to silicondojo.com. And with that, see y'all later.